South Africa is pulling together to vaccinate against deadly diseases. United Farm Workers lawsuits could impact how farm workers are paid, and Campbell's soup is making a real bad name for themselves.
We're also diving into the Christmas spirit with real Christmas tree prices and FFA students feeding their communities.
This week's headlines are full of Christmas magic and the real impact of agriculture. Savannah, let's go. I'm Braeden.
And I'm Savannah.
Welcome to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.
Every week, we break down the top headlines and trends facing food and agriculture.
Fast, fun, and actually useful. Let's get it. South Africa is about to launch one of the biggest animal health movements on the planet, vaccinating every one of its 7+ million cattle against foot and mouth disease.
The rollout starts in the hardest hit provinces, where farmers are now submitting herd counts and quarantine details as crews can map out the sweep.
This isn't just a biosecurity play, it's an economic reset as well. Foot and mouth disease outbreaks since 2019 have hammered South Africa's beef sector, shutting down feedlots, stopping cattle movement, and fueling beef price inflation.
Industry economists say the situation hit crisis levels this year. Vaccinating the entire national herd, about 7.2 million cattle, is massive. But it's also the clearest path to earning freedom with vaccination status from the World Organization of Animal Health.
What does that mean in real terms? Export doors are going to reopen, market confidence will rebound, and Africa's largest beef producer gets back on offense in the global red meat trade.
The government expects 2 million vaccine doses by February, arriving in 2 shipments. And to keep from demanding on imports forever, South Africa is building a mid scale vaccination facility to crank out another 1.5 million doses annually with government industry backing.
All this comes as feedlots deal with quarantines and producers face higher costs just to move cattle to auction. Every delay tightens supply and pushes prices higher.
The new vaccination push won't fix things overnight, but for a country that's battling recurring outbreaks for 6 years straight, it signals a turning point, a big one.
Because when your national herd is at stake, you either go small or you go all in.
In South Africa, it chose all in.
Savannah, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And for tree shoppers across America, there's a little bit of good news under the tinsel this year. According to a recent report from Brownfield Ag News, wholesale prices for real Christmas trees are expected to stay flat this season.
The Real Christmas Tree Board, which represents farms supplying roughly 2/3 of all U.S. grown Christmas trees, surveyed 43 wholesale growers in August of 2025. 84% of them said they're not raising prices at wholesale. Some even said that they're lowering them. That's a win for this year's holiday shoppers.
This is despite some growers reporting modest increases in input costs, up to as much as 5%. Many said they'll absorb those costs rather than pass them on. On top of stable pricing, the outlook for supply is strong. Most growers expect to sell as many or even more trees this season compared to 2024.
This story comes at a time when holiday costs seem to be creeping up across the board. Some sources report that artificial Christmas tree prices are rising by as much as almost 10 to 20%, largely due to tariffs and global supply chain pressures on imported domestic and plastic furs.
So, as you consider crowning your home with a Christmas tree this holiday, and maybe even paying more attention to farm raised quality and tradition, you can rest easy. This year, the real deal still looks like a solid bet.
This week in ag labor, a new lawsuit could reshape how seasonal farm workers get paid, and it's not just about foreign labor.
The United Farm Workers, or UFW, has taken the fight to the courts, arguing a recent federal rule slashes wages for guest workers and could drag down pay for U.S. farm workers too.
So, what's happening? On November 21st, 2025, the UFW filed suit in the Eastern District of California asking a federal court to throw out a new rule from the U.S. Department of Labor that recalculates wage requirements for H-2A workers.
Under this interim rule, instead of using the traditional USDA Farm Labor Survey to set the adverse effect wage rate, DOL will now rely on the Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The DOL estimates this shift will save employers about $2.5 billion per year.
According to the lawsuit, by lowering wages floors for H2A workers by $5 to $7 per hour in many states, the rule will pull down wages for U.S. citizens working under the same contracts, undermining federal laws meant to safeguard their pay.
Oh, Savannah, let's unpack why this matters for ag. The H2A program was supposed to supplement US labor when needed, not undercut it. The rule change effectively redefines the baseline wage, weakening the original safeguard. Use of the H2A visa program has soared from about 90,000 visas in 2012 to nearly 385,000 positions certified in the fiscal year 2024. Lower wages for H2A labor may make it easier and cheaper for farms to hire guest labor over U.S. workers, altering hiring behavior industry wide.
The outcome of this lawsuit matters far beyond the picket lines. It touches on fairness, farm economics, and how the U.S. defines the value of agricultural labor. For leaders in agriculture, the verdict could help set the tone for labor relations and the cost of getting crops from field to fork.
Campbell's, yes, the soup, is in full blown damage control this week, and it all started with an audio recording no brand ever wants to see trending.
A lawsuit allegations that Martin Bally, Campbell's vice president of IT, called the company's soup, quote, highly processed and, quote, for poor people, and claims he didn't buy it anymore because it uses, quote, bioengineered meats and chicken from a 3D printer.
Those comments didn't stay internal for long. Former employee Robert Garza says he tried to report them to HR and was fired instead. So now he's suing Campbell's, Bali, and a manager he says didn't support him.
The fallout snowballed fast. As the recording spread across social media, Campbell's launched a review, and by November 25th, Bali was officially no longer with the company.
Campbell's didn't mince words. They called the comments, quote, vulgar, offensive, and false, emphasizing that none of their soups use 3D printed chicken, lab grown meat, or anything bioengineered. And just to clarify, cultivated meat isn't even sold in grocery stores, it's only available at a few restaurants under strict regulations.
And the lawsuit goes further. It claims Bali insulted Indian employees, calling them idiots, complained about working with them, and even said he showed up to work high on marijuana edibles. Campbell says these statements don't reflect their values.
Garza's attorneys argue he was retaliated against for wanting to report these remarks, putting the company in the spotlight, just as pantry staples like Campbell's soups and Rayo's sauces are seeing big demand from inflation wary shoppers.
So, while Campbell's is trying to highlight affordability and quality, the lawsuit is highlighting a very different storyline, one involving employee treatment, tech leadership, and how quickly internal comments can explode on national news.
Campbell's says millions trust their products, and the comments on the recordings are, quote, patiently absurd. But the company is still working to restore the narrative as the case moves through a Michigan court.
It's a reminder in 2025, nothing stays beyond closed doors, not even a conversation about chicken, 3D printed or otherwise.
Savannah, before the holiday break, most students are counting down to mashed potatoes and lots of extra sleeping. But FFA chapters and their members, they've been out feeding half the countryside.
You heard that. From Florida to Iowa, Ohio to Indiana, these students basically turned November into a multi state blue jacket meal machine.
Let's start with a look at Tate FFA in Florida. More than a dozen student groups teamed up to pack 63,808,000 meals in just under 3 hours. This isn't even just a service project. These students are doing like elite level logistics.
Ohio's Versailles FFA chapter kept the momentum rolling, delivering 100 warm meals, plus handwritten thank you cards straight to farmers in the field.
We can't leave out Kansas. Hiawatha FFA pulled off its Harvest Meals run, even with the advisor away. Students stepped in, organized it all themselves, and were able to feed their local producers anyway.
Iowa saw a total field meal takeover. Four FFA chapters teamed up with farmers' cooperative associations and Vision Ag to deliver 300 meals across the region in just a few days.
Indiana's Jasper FFA delivered 166 meals. Milton FFA hit 110, and Wisconsin's Riverdale FFA cooked 176 meals from scratch. Ham, cheesy potatoes, coleslaw, and the works.
We can't forget about the Mormon Trail chapter in Blair, as well as others that round out this list, making sure farmers grinding through the harvest got a hot meal and a face to face thank you.
Evidently, Savannah, as you and I both know, service isn't an add on in FFA, it's baked in. I apologize for the bad pun. And this fall, thousands of families and farmers felt real impact from those students in blue and gold.
If gratitude were a crop, these chapters just hit a record year.
Savannah, I wonder how many cans of Campbell's soup were used by those FFA chapters. Maybe it's too soon for that joke?
I would say it's a little soon, but it isn't too soon to keep up with all things ag by subscribing to Magnetic Ag.
And don't forget to keep listening for all the headlines you need right here on Magnetic Ag Ears Edition. Hungry for more?
Subscribe to our twice weekly newsletter for more industry news right in your inbox.
Or follow along on socials at magnetic.ag for more trends and headlines.
Thanks for listening to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.